What is up, Hawk fans? I hope all is well. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Hope, just things in general are going well with you guys. It's been a couple of weeks since the last time I was able to sit down in my office and make a video like this. I actually wasn't even planning on doing this video because there just isn't like a ton of news going on right now. This is kind of the dead time. I've said this across multiple videos. This is kind of the dead time when it comes to collegiate sports. The biggest news is recruiting news. So I want to talk, and of course Iowa basketball did have media availability. So I'm going to briefly touch on that. But mainly I'm going to be talking about Iowa football recruiting and their official visit weekend that took place. Let me start with Iowa basketball. So they had their open practice, their open availability. And it was good to hear from the players and the coaches, to hear what they had to say. And to see the practice. That was the biggest thing that I wanted to see. Even the practices for Fran McCaffery were getting a little stale. They would always run their weave, three-man weave, up and down, because everything around Fran McCaffery towards the end really was placated on the offense and what the offense could and could not do. And so even their practices, in my opinion, showed that. So it was good to see the intensity. Fran McCaffery practices had some intensity. I mean, it's Division I basketball. But again, it had gotten stale. It was good to see the new players. My biggest takeaway was, again, just the intensity and the aggressiveness, the physicality. They got after it. And again, Ben McCollum has shown a willingness to show us as fans what more, and as somebody who makes content, I've said many times that I think the University of Iowa needs to take advantage of this day and age where they can give us more access. I'm not saying that they need to give us all access, but they can give us more access. And, Ben McCollum being willing to, and dare I say, not just willing, but as a tactic, show us as much as possible and immediately show us as a fan base what his program is going to be about, I think was the right call, and I was very pleased to see it. I mean, the practice, the clips, the highlights that I saw were very intense, very physical. And one of the big pieces of information that came out from the players was that, especially from their strength and conditioning, is that everything they do, they want to make it so difficult that when the game comes, the game is easy. And anybody who's played sports at a high level, this is not a new concept, but few teams actually do it. There are people who talk about it, but few teams actually do it. And they mentioned how even in strength and conditioning, it's, Ben McCollum wants them to communicate because you have to be able to communicate when you're tired, and championship teams communicate. And I completely agree. So that was the main takeaway. It was very intense, very physical, and it was good to see that. I liked the size. I liked the length. I think Cale Combs, from what I saw, the left-handed guard, I think he might be better than people are anticipating. At the end of the day, again, I am going to trust that Ben McCollum, especially when it comes to the Drake players, is going to bring guys in that he feels can truly play at the Division I Big Ten level until proven otherwise. So Bennett Sturts is the real deal, obviously. He just plays at a different pace. He scored, multiple times, just really methodically. He made a few mistakes here or there, but every time he scored, it was just like when you compare it to the other players score from like an open three or a loose ball or like a hustle play and yeah, they might have some decent plays here or there. But Bennett Sturts, he always plays with his eyes up, and he is dictating the flow, not the other way around. And good players, especially good offensive players, dictate the pace at which they want to play, not the other way around. For example, Luka Garza, Luka Doncic, players like that. So, and then the reports have said that he's solid defensively. I'm not surprised by that. If you look at the video, the dude has super long arms. I mean, he's 6'4", but he has really, really long arms. I mean, I was not surprised, but when I saw it, I was like, dang. I can see why. He's had some under the radar attributes that have guided him and helped him towards this success. Pause for a drink. So, other than that, it's just good to see all the other guys. It was good to see J.R. Koch, a.k.a. J.R. Coach, a.k.a. J.R. Koch, Cooper Koch, a.k.a. Cooper Koch, a.k.a. Cooper Coach. It was good to see him. He looked solid. I like these other 6'7" wing, small forward, power forward guys, Cam Menyawu, and I forget the other guy's name at the top of my head, but let me see if I can get it pulled up here. But for me, the biggest takeaway probably was the two freshmen, Tate Sage and Tevin Urick. Tate Sage has a beautiful shot. He's very long. He's all of 6'7". I think if he doesn't get playing time, I don't think it will be because of his lack of talent and size as a freshman. It will be because there's other more veteran options that are also talented. For example, Cooper. In fact, he actually reminds me a lot of Cooper, maybe a little bit more versatile athletically. Saw Isaiah Howard, Trevin Urick, sorry. There's Joey Mattioni, Cam Menyawu, Brennan Housen, Cale Combs, some of the new faces. Tavion Banks was one. I really liked what I saw from him. But again, he looks good, and this is a nice under the radar get. Of course, he hasn't played a game yet, but I can see what Ben McCollum saw in him that he was willing to get a scholarship on him. Get him in as a freshman, get him into the program and ready to go. Because remember, he could have held off and given that to a transfer portal target that was like a redshirt freshman or, a underclassman, and he used it on him. But my biggest takeaway was Trevin Urick. And by the way, guys, all of the information about Tate Sage, the players talk really highly of him. They think he's really skilled, really talented. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. But my biggest takeaway was Trevin Urick. He has some baby fat on him that he needs to work off. We'll see how much he can get off between now and the start of the season. He's already lost a lot. I mean, he already looks a lot better than some of his photos and high school highlights. But the amount of usage in the pick and roll with Bennett Sturts, the fact that he was running with Bennett Sturts. I mean, I know they like to mix and match the lineups, but he was legitimately like involved 100%. I mean, he was heavily involved, and I don't know how much he'll be involved by the time the season. Actually, I'm going to answer that question. But it's kind of a situation where he has to, because Iowa, outside of Alvarez, who I don't, and Mattioni, who's really skinny still, who I think is more of a 4 rather than a center, might even be more of a small forward if he can get there. But he needs to add a lot of weight still. But Alvaro Fulgueras is playing with the Spanish national team. I know, guys, I'm terrible with names, but and I'm Spaniard. I should know how to say his last name. I think it's Fulgueras. But I couldn't believe how much he was involved, and he was making buckets. Bennett Sturts was feeding him. He was playing physical. He was playing hard. I think there's a good chance, even if Iowa lands a big guy in the transfer portal, that might end up being the starter at the center position, or more of a slightly small power forward, or excuse me, slightly small center that's more of a power forward, but plays center because Iowa needs him to. I think he's. I'm not willing to say necessarily. I don't want to commit this that he will see a lot of minutes, because again, what we saw was such a small sample size. But I'm willing to say that I would not be surprised in the least if he sees meaningful minutes this upcoming year. And again, he doesn't have to be dominant or anything like that. He just needs to be serviceable, to give Iowa serviceable minutes. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to do that. He's much better than I thought he was a good get, but he's even further along than I thought. So, I really, Iowa fans, I think you need to be aware of this. Because he might be seeing meaningful minutes this upcoming year, and I'm really close to making the prognostication that I think he is 100% going to receive meaningful minutes this upcoming year. I mean, I'm like 90% there. I just don't want to do it. Again, Iowa doesn't have any other bigs. He has no choice but to grow and meet the challenge by osmosis. And again, that's not Iowa's strength. Iowa's strength is more obviously in Bennett Sturts. They got some shooters. They're wing players. Alvaro. They just need a big that can defend, can play hard, play physical, defend, rebound, all the grunt work, so. All right, guys, that's it for basketball. That was good to see. And lastly, I want to talk about Iowa football recruiting. So, Iowa's 2026 recruiting class is not doing bad. In fact, they were doing quite good. They were top 30, at times top 25, and they're still not in bad shape. But, a lot of teams have received a lot more commitments in the last month and a half. And Iowa has kind of hit a dry spell. They did receive a commitment from an under-the-radar Michigan recruit in Ronnie Hill, safety, 6'1". I think that's a good get. He'll probably be a mid-level, maybe high 3-star player. And, they did get some preferred walk-ons, although I'm seeing that they decommitted on rivals. I don't know if that's true in Noah Daniel, Fort Dodge, where my family's from, and Isaiah Oliver. But the official visit time has not gone well for Iowa. They have missed on a majority of recruits. Now, they've been in on a lot of high-caliber recruits, high 3-star, low 4-stars. So there is competition, and I do want to give them credit for that. But, I mean, they have either had an official visit lined up and never got the official visit, or the guys that they did end up getting the official visit, they weren't able to seal the deal from a lot of guys. I mean, just to name several here right off the bat, tight end Preston Friesel. He was the tight end that Iowa was going after, kind of a late bloomer tight end, high 3-star. Notre Dame comes in with the offer. He cancels his official visit, which, again, if Iowa was doing their work, he still would probably consider visiting Iowa. Iowa missed on 4-star safety Messiah Tilson. He went to Kentucky. Linebacker Trevor Gibbs went to Indiana. They're looking good at the linebacker position in who I think will commit, but still, defensive lineman who was favored to go to Iowa, Jid Jiao Ba, defensive line, committed to Wisconsin. Keaton Rianke, who Iowa was favored, wide receiver, 6'3", state of Illinois, 6 foot, X, maybe Z, wide receiver, probably an X. Northwestern commit. Defensive lineman, King Liggins, Illinois. Honestly, guys, it goes on and on. Safety out of the state of Nevada, Gavin Day, 4-star, commits to Washington. It's just a lot of guys, cornerback out of Texas, high 3-star, Isaiah McMillan, chose Kentucky. Defensive lineman out of Tennessee, high 3-star, Corey House, Michigan State. Billy Waivoda from Georgia. Iowa had an official visit. He hasn't committed anywhere yet, but they still haven't sealed the deal. And it's not like there's a ton of competition. He is a high 3-star, but Iowa doesn't have the stiffest competition to land him. Iowa lost the commitment for Cash Herrera. Which, again, not the end of the world. The quarterback room is decent. I did a video on that, but still, it's a small example of possibly a more macro situation. Pretty much all the guys the 12 guys that they received official visits on their big official visit weekend, and this has been the case the last 2 years, pretty much all of them were already committed, which really puts you in a precarious spot. This is your official visit weekend is to get the guys you don't already have. Yes, you want the guys you already have to still be happy about going to Iowa, but they're there to recruit the guys that aren't committed yet. Yes, Iowa is doing good for 4-star out of Iowa City. His dad is a coach for Iowa, Julian Manson. Things seem to have gone good for high 3-star cornerback CJ Hester, but there's major competition to land him. Florida, Syracuse. Things seem to have gone good with Kason Thompson, the high 3-star linebacker. As I said, Iowa does seem to be in decent shape at the linebacker position recruiting. He is currently has increased favorability from, 60% to 94% to go to Iowa. Nebraska's got 3%. Darian Jones, high 3-star out of Omaha North, still favored to go to Nebraska, 65% to Iowa's 31%. But that's it, guys. There's no other names. Again, I know Ronnie Hill committed to Iowa, but I I am not pleased with Iowa's results. Their class is decent, or was before, but they have missed some major opportunities to continue the momentum, and really have an excellent class going into the season. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know, if it's just maybe luck of the draw. I always tell you guys that the problem with having a June 20th is that a lot of guys there, or excuse me, for a lot of these recruits, there's other schools that have the first crack at landing them. But again, that's up to Iowa to try and convince them to hold off. And whatever sales pitch Iowa is doing is not working right now. I don't know if it's NIL. From what we've been told, Iowa football's in decent shape with NIL, but so, time will tell. The thing is, guys, I no longer get super, and I've told you guys this before, I don't get wrapped up in recruiting anymore. It's too volatile. But because I make this content, I have to, keep you guys apprised. And, Iowa, as of now, is not doing as well as I think they should. This kind of was the same thing last year, and their class ended up okay last year. So there's still a lot of time and Iowa does usually do a good job of really sticking with the process and uncovering guys that haven't been uncovered yet, and being diligent and finalizing the class. But as things stand right now, I think Iowa could be doing a little bit better of a job. But yeah, I mean, even, last year, looking at I'm pulling up their big June official visit weekend. They missed on a few guys. They did, and they did have a decommitment flip to Notre Dame. That was a tough one. But I mean, they had and ultimately they lost their kicker in Scott Starzik, but they had 18 guys officially visit, and this past time they only had 12. So anyways, guys, that's the update. Time will tell. I'll keep you guys posted. I think Iowa is not doing the best job right now, but the good news is where their class stands right now is decent. It could be worse. They have quite a few high 3-star guys, and bordering on 4-star. So we'll see how that takes shape. But where things stand now, those are my thoughts. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see what else comes down the pipeline. If there's more commitments that come down the line, if Iowa is able to land a few of these guys, I might do another video. Stay tuned. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share. Let's get this channel to 2,000 subscribers. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy below. And facts are feelings, because your feelings just matter. Love you, Hawk fans. See you guys next time. Bye-bye. Go Hawks.